This is the Personal Finance Show.
Hi, I'm Bo Humphreys, and this is the Personal Finance Show. Tina from Money Flamingo will reach semi-retirement in 863 days. Money Flamingo is an Australian blog about financial independence and retiring early, also known as FIRE, F-I-R-E. There are many FIRE bloggers on the internet, and I will have a Canadian one on the show in the near future, but Money Flamingo is a bit different, and not just because Tina and her husband are Australian. In May of 2018, they started Project 1000, which is their plan to build their nest egg to $500,000 in 1,000 days, then quit their regular day jobs, work part-time for 10 years while their nest egg doubles to $1 million, which should provide them with financial independence and the option to stop working. You won't find Tina's picture or last name on the episode cover because, like most FIRE bloggers, she prefers to remain anonymous. If you had a plan to quit your job in less than 3 years, you might not want your employer to know about that either. You can check out Tina's progress at moneyflamingo.com and decide for yourself whether you think her plan is feasible. Many people have achieved early retirement, and there are many ways to get there, depending on various factors like how much you want to spend today and what you intend to need for funds when you do stop working in the future. But Tina and Mr. Flamingo only started focusing on early retirement recently. A lot had to happen in Tina's life before she even realized financial independence was possible for her and her husband. Tina met up with me somewhere, it's a secret, in Sydney, Australia, to tell her personal finance story.
The first memory would be when I was in year one. My mum had this big thing about giving us pocket money.
Okay.
It was one Deutschmark, which I think is probably...
So one Deutschmark.
It's probably 50 cents or something
Okay,
like that.
yeah.
So it wasn't a lot. So her rule was like year one, you get one Deutschmark, year two, you get two.
Okay.
And so on.
And year one, how old are you at
year
this
one,
point?
6 years.
Six years old, you get
yeah.
one Deutschmark per week?
Yeah, for a week.
For
a week,
For 1 week.
Yeah.
You grew up in Germany. This
Yes.
is becoming obvious. And so you did, what did you do with these Deutschmarks?
Well, at the start, there was no emphasis on saving it. I think she just wanted us to learn how much things cost.
Okay, yeah.
So yeah, I don't know how much I could buy with that. Probably like a pack of gummy bears, something like that.
Yeah.
So I would just do that, and then I became a big fan of magazines. So she said, yeah, you can buy the magazine, but you have to wait 4 weeks because it was 4 Deutschmarks.
Because it costs 4 Deutschmarks. Yeah, that's a good exercise.
Yeah. So
a good thing to learn.
I did that. And so, I mean, the intentions were great, but then it went a bit pear-shaped, I guess. So in our family, like, my mom was also like, she only wanted us to eat healthy stuff. Mm-hmm. I really liked sweets, right? Didn't want to spend my pocket money on sweets because it was also, not something she liked. Okay. So some kids at school started to sell me sweets.
Nice.
What I didn't realize at the time, because I didn't really have a concept of money and how much things actually cost in the store. Okay. So this kid brought me a box of chocolates that's like 10 Deutschmarks. Mm-hmm. And I said, yeah. And I took it because I wanted that moment, right?
Oh, yeah.
But then I owed him 10 Deutschmarks. So that was the first time I was in debt, was probably when I was like 6 or 7 years old.
So that's like, it could be 10 weeks depending on how old you are at the time.
And, but it didn't really click, right? So yeah, that was a bit of a mess.
So yeah, what did happen? Did you end up paying the person back? Or
at the start I was kind of lucky because, birthday gifts from aunties and uncles, so I was able to pay it back. But then I just wanted more. So I remember when it was in year 4, like I had like a 20 or 30 Deutschmark debt, and there was no money anymore. And that's a lot, right?
So you're like 9 or 10 years old at this point, and,
yes.
and you're already in debt.
And they were boys, right? And they were threatening to beat me up. So
this might be the earliest story of debt that I've ever heard.
And I was terrified. I mean, but then it gets worse, right? Because then I had my first experience with what you could call a loan shark.
Wow.
Which were these other girls, because I, didn't want to get in trouble. So I went to the girls group, who I was supposed to be friends with, right? And asked them if anybody can loan me money. He said, yeah, I can loan you money, but you have to pay me double that tomorrow.
Okay, so you're to not get in trouble with the boys, you're going to the girls, borrowing money from them.
Yeah, and there were 2, and they were like big girls, right? So I did it, like thinking the problem would go away, but of course, they kept coming back for it.
Yeah.
So it all went a bit pear-shaped.
Okay.
And it got so bad, so eventually I started taking money from my dad's wallet when I was in the shower. That's how bad it got.
Wow.
To sort of pay them back because I was genuinely scared, right?
Of course. Wait, did it double a bunch of times already, or how far did it go?
Yeah, so I think I always then I negotiated with them. Then on the third day there was this rule that it would only half double or something like that.
Okay.
So
Wow.
year 4 math. So
early loan shark negotiations.
But I mean, if you would calculate the interest rate, it's crazy, right? Eventually, I asked some of the nicer girls in school for help, and also went there and said, "No, it's over. I've paid you so many times over what you loaned me already, so this has to stop." And then they got scared that I would tell my parents and they would tell their parents, because I'm sure they wouldn't have appreciated that kind of behavior. Right? So that kind of stopped. Yeah, so that was sort of my first memory where I know that money could be a problem.
Yeah, so did that affect your future in terms of the way that you handled debt, or the first time? What about credit cards? When did you first get a credit?
In Germany, debt is not really a thing, right?
It isn't, eh?
No.
So how so? Just people, it's socially unacceptable, or?
Debt is not a thing at all. So my parents, a small country down 5,000 people, as German as it gets, right?
Yeah, okay.
Close to Bavaria, but some people have a house. With my parents, my dad has a really good job for the government, but they never owned a house, right? So they were just renting, no.
Okay.
And he would have been on a really good paycheck, right? But it's not a thing, right? So my first credit card was after I left school, when I was 19, my dad signed for me to get my first credit card from the bank.
Okay.
And this was nobody in my family had ever had a credit card, but they thought, she needs it if she goes abroad.
Sure. Emergencies? Is that for that kind of reason?
Yeah. But it was also a $5,000 limit. And also, in Germany, credit cards have to be paid back every month. So
they have to. There's no carrying a balance.
No.
Oh, okay. I like that.
Not for normal cards, anyway.
Yeah.
So I had that, which was all right. And then Barclays Bank came to Germany.
Okay.
When I was in uni. And at the time, I lived in Spain for a while.
So did you go to school in Spain?
Yeah, it was like a semester abroad kind of thing, right?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so but Barclays Bank came to Germany and made this big offer. You can have a credit card, for normal uni students.
No, yeah.
So, and I had no real concept what an actual credit card was. One that can carry a balance.
Because no one talked about it,
no.
right? And it didn't exist in your existing culture.
That's right. And at the time, I lived in Spain, and I had this friend, who lived a bit of an extravagant lifestyle.
Okay.
Which, I just
on
wanted
credit,
to...
maybe?
No, she had
just wealthy?
really rich parents.
Okay, yeah.
Which I didn't have. So
What is this bird, by the way? Do you know?
I don't actually know what they're called.
Are they intimidating? Should we?
No, they're nice.
Okay,
good.
They're
you can
nice
actually
birds.
chase them. It's not a bush turkey. It's something similar.
It just got such a long beak. Oh, sorry. Please continue.
No, that's
so
all
you
right.
had your extravagant friend.
Yeah, and then I saw this ad. You can get a credit card with €1,000 limit from Barclays Bank, and you didn't even need any securities for me.
So your parents didn't have to know
No.
about this.
So they didn't know about any of this. So I took that one out, and they sent it to me after a few days, and. This was completely new to me. Actually, I didn't know anything about this stuff, so I started taking out money with it. I went to the ATM, which I know now is the worst thing you can do.
Yeah, it is, in terms of the interest that comes out
and
right
I
away.
think it cost €12 every time I took €100
so you had a cash advance fee too, yeah.
Which I had, and then I just saw this piling up, and I thought,
what did you need this money for,
by the way? To be honest, it was just to party with my friends and be part of the cool group.
And if you wouldn't have the credit card, you just wouldn't have... Maybe you wouldn't have gone
because,
out.
My parents are very generous, right? So uni in Germany is free, but they paid for my accommodation, living expenses, all of that.
Okay, so you're living off your parents' money still.
Yeah. And I think they gave me maybe €600 a month, which at the time was enough for, your rent, all of that kind of
living,
stuff.
But not partying.
If you have an extravagant friend who wants to $100 champagne bottles,
you want to take a trip to Ibiza or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so you started running this up.
Yeah.
And then you start to see the effects.
Yeah, but not straight away,
okay.
Because I saw the balance increase. At the start it wasn't much, and I thought, this is actually a pretty good deal, right? Yeah, but then after a while it became a bit of a problem. Just realized, it was piling up quicker than I could actually save money.
Okay, yes.
So, but then I got lucky again, I guess. because Germany there was this program where you can get a like really cheap student loan.
Okay.
So I secretly applied for that without my parents knowing.
Because you would have been in big trouble. If
Yeah,
they
and
would have found
also,
out
you know, my
about this.
parents are paying for
Everything
basic-
else.
So
yeah.
I'm sure
Wow.
the whole reason they paid for it is so that I could leave uni debt-free, right?
Yeah, which is a great
so
thing. Yeah.
I used a friend's address and like I managed to sign up for this loan, got it all granted, and then I basically used the money from that loan to pay off the credit card. And the loan was 1.4% interest.
Okay,
right?
wow, yeah,
So
that's
it's
nothing.
great. So that
Perfect.
ended well.
Versus you might have been paying 20% interest on a credit card or something around
yeah.
there?
So I think it was 25.
Oh,
like
wow, okay, much,
24.99 or
yeah.
something like that. So so that
Thanks,
was my
Barclays.
that was my first and I guess only experience with a proper credit card.
Okay.
I mean, these days I use
Interesting.
credit
So
cards, right? But
not since then, like you use them today.
yeah. So in Germany I didn't get another one because it's just not common. Everybody just has their debit card.
Okay.
But then, obviously, when we moved to Australia a few years ago, it just became apparent that, people use credit cards. It was all new to me. Like, I did not actually realize, when you have a Visa card and it says debit at the bottom?
Yeah,
it's a
that's
debit
a
card.
Visa debit,
I
yeah.
did not actually understand, like, the difference.
Yeah, we don't have that
Yeah.
in Canada either. We just have credit cards and debit cards are separate and they're through banks.
Yeah.
Probably more like Germany with your debit.
Yeah, here everybody uses credit cards, and I know a lot of people have credit card debt. But, I learned very quickly about, like, travel hacking, all of that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Qantas points.
Yeah. Well, how long ago did you move here?
3 years ago.
3 years, yeah.
Yes.
And I can already hear it in your accent.
Okay.
I can hear the German, but I can hear a little bit of Australian too. I don't know if anyone mentions that to
No,
you.
it's actually funny because all the Australians think I'm South African.
Oh,
because I think
it's a combo. Yeah. I happen to know that you're not.
Yeah.
So that, but yeah, that's a really good, interesting point. It's a combo of all these different colonies, right? But so you moved here and you started using credit, but you're using it responsibly now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you get out of university, you get this student loan. Did you pay that off?
Yeah.
How long did it take? Like, what are you doing for work at this point?
So throughout uni, you have to say, I went to Australia after school for a year, so when I returned, I was already 20.
Okay, so you came to Australia earlier.
Yeah, so basically, in Germany, we finish school, which, like, it's an equivalent to A levels, it's like the sort of the highest level of schooling you can do.
Okay, yeah.
At 19. Then went to Australia for a year,
Okay,
like basically
you
as
did
a
that.
backpacker, work and travel.
Oh, okay, you took your year off.
Yes.
That's nice.
I started uni, like a bachelor's degree.
Yeah.
All through high school, I had been tutoring, so I continued.
So you were making money.
Yeah, I was sort of not a lot,
But not
right?
enough to go out and with your
No,
extravagant
and
friends.
the problem was also I never saved any of it, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So I hadn't really grasped that concept yet. Yeah, so I had odd jobs, I don't know. I had one. You want to know my most embarrassing job?
Sure.
It's like I sold used underpants.
Okay. Wait. What?
Yeah, so that was actually how I funded my first year, my supplementary income from my first year in uni.
So there's a market for used
Yes.
underpants?
So my boyfriend at the time
Yeah.
sort of found this website, and I guess it translates from German as hot chocolates.
Okay.
And it's like, but that was in 2003, right?
Yeah.
So it was more like classifieds ads on the internet,
Yeah.
like not sort of what you see today.
Somebody's looking
Yeah.
for underpants?
Yeah, and it's like sort of you could have like a little section where you sort of say a completely fake, profile.
Yeah.
Like hot 23-year-old blonde with big boobs.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
And I was so surprised. And basically, the service they organize it all for you, and then you just get an address, and you basically wear your underpants for a day. You put them in an envelope, send it to this address. They do not know who you are, anything like that. And then I got paid 15 euros.
So, and how much would you have paid for the underpants originally?
I got the very cheapest, right?
Of course.
So this is like, you can buy like a 3-pack for $2.
I feel like I've seen this in a movie or something.
Yeah, and it was really great. I know. And there
Wow.
was nothing sort of dodgy or corny
Yeah,
about it.
because you weren't involved with any of it. You just took
you have to wear
advantage of
underpants, right? It's like, instead of putting them in a wash basket, I put them in an envelope. And
Did you end up making a lot of money out
I
of this?
think I made about 1,000 euros.
Oh my god, so like every day you would wear your
Yeah.
bits and then send them off?
Yes.
And then you just get money in the mail?
Yeah.
Wow.
No, that's exactly right.
That's probably the most interesting, odd way to make money that I've heard. but I love it.
It's a great way to make a side income, but after that, the system sort of changes, and I wanted you to actually register with your tax number. I didn't want to do anything like that, so it was great while it lasted.
Okay, wow. So you're making a little bit of side money doing that.
Yes.
And you had side hustle tutoring.
Yes.
And what are you tutoring?
English and Spanish.
Okay, yeah.
So because that's what I was doing in uni.
Oh yeah, what degree did you get?
So I got an arts degree because again, like I had no concept of like how much degrees actually pay after you're done with uni.
Yeah.
Because my mum, like she had this thing because her parents forced her into like a particular profession that she hated.
Oh yes, and nobody wants that. She didn't want you to do that.
No, and she basically, there was never any talk about how much things actually pay and what kind of job things could lead to, right?
Really, nobody
really
discussed it. Is this a small town thing? Is
Yeah,
that why?
I don't know. It's I even went to career counselling, and they do tests with you to sort of find out what your interests are. And I knew my interests were always like languages, traveling, probably like most teenagers, right? Because I wanted to get away from the country town, right?
I want to see the world, yeah.
It was. I mean, I think my dad was a bit critical of it, but yeah, there was not much conversation. They said, we will fund your degree, you can study whatever you like. I didn't really think about the real world consequences of doing an arts degree. I went for an arts degree, and then because I wasn't really sure what to do afterwards, of course, so I just did another arts degree as a master's, right?
Okay, so you have a master's in arts degree? Okay, and then after that, what did you end up getting a job somewhere?
So I mean, my master's degree wasn't too bad because it was in translation and interpreting.
Oh, nice.
So I actually worked in that job also during uni, going to 10-day conferences and interpreting for people. So that was actually not too bad, and you can make a fair bit of money.
Like interpreting on the spot, sort of.
Simultaneous.
Wow. So from what language to what language?
German, English, German.
Okay. So those were your main fluent. Is that what you learned in school, like as a second language, is English? Yeah, so you start in year 5 all the way through. Okay. Yeah, then I obviously went to Australia, then did it at uni, so it was kind of, the thing to do. Yeah, so I had a bit of money with that, and that was all good. But then the next step, because there's no real proper jobs as an interpreter, or even a translator, they're really badly paid. Like other than like if you work for an ambassador or something like that.
Yeah, but I mean like there's 100 graduates and like probably one job, right?
Wow.
And then I also, and you could become a government employee like a public servant, but that's not something I wanted because I always knew I wanted to move abroad, I wanted to do all of this interesting stuff. Yeah, so that's not what I wanted to do. So I applied for a few jobs and I got this random job with like a consulting firm.
Okay.
And I started with them, and it was all right. So I lived in different cities in Germany, doing like different consulting jobs, like as a junior sort of thing.
What kind of consulting? Like, what are you consulting on?
Well, the big consulting firms like Accenture, like the Big Five.
So give us an example, because consulting tends to get this like, what do you actually do?
Yeah, that's actually a good question. I did it for like 5 years, and I don't really know.
So it's forever a mystery?
Yeah. No, to be honest, I always got the feeling with this consulting firm that we actually did jobs that internal, like employees of the companies who worked and didn't want to do. Like there was this one case, I'm not going to name the company, but it was in the finance industry. Sure. And we were basically doing normal work that a normal internal employee would have done, but the person we worked for, like who led the team, was like the worst person. Like she threw like folders at me and called me dumb nut the moment I opened the door in the morning. And you can see she had so many complaints from internal employees that they would just hire a contracting company.
Let's just get people to come in and do the work. She must have been a valuable employee in some way, right? To stick around.
And she was close to retirement, so they would just say, the last 5 years we really need her to finish this project.
So like, tell us what you would have done at that job, say, like something, just an example.
It was a lot of meeting minutes.
Okay, like so administrative
stuff like that. Business analytics, running numbers, doing reports, charts.
Because you're trying to improve the business as a consultant. Yes. That's the whole general concept, right?
Yes.
They bring you in to boost the numbers or grow the business in some way or
Yes.
tell you where you're doing things incorrect? Maybe just bring in a new frame of mind. Is that it? Is that a good
No, that's
way?
exactly right.
Yeah.
But that's like the senior consultants.
Sure.
I sort of started as what is called a PMO, which is
Okay.
basically like a project officer.
Yeah.
I'm basically just there to support the consultants, right? So
Okay.
I'm the one doing all the numbers.
So this is where you started in project
Yes.
management, and
Yes.
that's what you're still doing today.
Yes, but then I basically evolved from there, right? Sort of worked my way up a little bit.
Okay.
But even at that point, I just realized, I really hated like the 40-hour work week or 50 hours,
Sure.
like especially in the consulting world, wearing a suit. It's just
just the formality of the whole thing, and the strictness of the hours and
Yes.
all that kind of stuff. Like, maybe you're not even doing something for a couple of hours in the day.
That's the thing. You can see how hard it is for me to actually say what I actually did, right? I mean, I'm sure at the time, I also got like good reviews, so sure, I surely did something. But
you kept busy,
yes,
and that was what was important.
Yes. But even then, and I think I already knew a long time ago that I wouldn't really enjoy that, and that's why I procrastinated as long as possible to actually start my first real job.
Yes.
At the age of 27, which I know for like Australians, Canadians, that's probably a crazy age to start your first job.
It's a little late.
Well, I have friends in Germany who are 32 who are still happily studying away in university because nobody even gets...
Because it's free? I mean, it was the
Yes.
master's also free?
Yes,
Everything.
yes.
So you were able to go through all this school for free.
Well, you still have to live, right?
Yeah,
So
well, living costs, yes.
Yes.
So when you came out, you didn't have any debt?
no debt.
Oh, so that's
And,
nice. It's
yeah.
very rare
Yes.
unless your parents save up early
Yeah.
on, especially for Americans, because it's like $200,000
Yeah.
to go to school, and Canadians
That's
this is
crazy,
maybe
yeah.
$50,000 to go to school. But so that's an interesting advantage. Do you feel like it was an advantage to be able to have all that school for free?
Yes and no.
Yeah,
So
okay.
I'm really grateful for what my parents did, right? At
Yeah.
the same time, I think if I had known about the economic realities, right, and how much living actually costs if it
Sure.
wasn't subsidized,
Yeah.
maybe I would have made different choices or
Yeah.
gotten serious about certain things. Because at the end of the day, I had no debt, but I was 27 with basically no net worth, no real life experience.
And used to living a subsidized life.
Yes.
So you're not even really aware of how much the world costs.
That's exactly
and
right.
I mean, Australia is a good
Yes.
example. It costs a lot of
Yes.
money to live here.
Yeah.
But hopefully you're getting paid the amounts.
Yes.
The wage is equivalent to what you need.
Yeah.
It just seems like everything is so much more expensive, even though our dollar is on par in Canada with the Australian
Okay.
dollar, just about.
Yeah.
Actually, if something came in the bank, I bought something for $25 and it came in at like $24.96 or something like that. So I'm like, yeah, that's a win for
Oh,
me.
that's not bad, yeah.
But okay, so you're in Germany still doing
Yes.
the consulting,
Yes.
and did you stay in Germany all the way to when you moved here?
No, so there were, like I said, the stunt in Spain. There was a while in England
Okay,
because
so-
my husband's Australian, so he's had a few problems with his German working visa. So it was a bit of a back
So
and
you
forth.
met in Germany?
No, so we actually met after high school when I came to Australia.
Oh, you just that for,
Yes.
so did you get married then?
No, not then. But he basically said, "Oh yeah, I wanted to go to Europe anyway," so he came over to Germany.
So he came back with you
Yes.
after the year
and he
to
stayed
live.
10 years, right?
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so it was a long time. And all this while he was actually working, right? And I mean,
Yeah.
he didn't have an easy time because he didn't speak German, he was lucky getting a job through friends of my parents. But basically, he didn't earn much, but I was like in this bubble where it's all about, let's do another degree. It's just so much.
And he's like, I need to make money. But you
Yeah.
guys were you living together?
On and off because the job that he got was not where I went to uni.
I see. He had to go somewhere
Yes.
else.
And the first few years, if you live in Germany, you have to stay with one employer. And then after that, he was able to move to where I went to uni, and he sort of moved around with me a little bit. But we still did a few stunts abroad, also summer in France, stuff like that. But I mean, the goal was always to go to Australia.
Oh, that was the goal. Okay.
Yes, obviously he missed home, right?
He did.
He came to Germany, but didn't think that he would stay 10 years, right? But then
10 years.
But then
Wow.
I always had him overheard him on the phone to his parents. Yeah, she's still doing her degree. Yes, we'll come when she's done. But then I was out of uni, and then I thought, but I want to have like a little bit of work experience, so let's just do that, right?
So what would be the benefit to coming here versus staying in Germany for you?
Well, at the time I didn't know, so we just went because we wanted something different, right?
Yeah, it's a different experience.
Yes,
Absolutely.
Well, I have to say, in Germany you don't earn a lot, but
No.
we have great social security, right?
Sure.
You're basically insured. If you get unemployed, you're insured, right? If anything happens to you, you're
Is
insured.
there no employment insurance here?
Well,
Or
there's.
It's not as guaranteed.
It's a thing called Centrelink, but it's like, I mean, you know how much things cost in Australia. I think it's something like $450 every 2 weeks.
So it's not anything to
No,
like
you
you might be
can't
able to
really.
you probably have to change housing, find more affordable housing, maybe move to a more
regional
affordable
area.
regional. So it's not going to be enough. Like if you lost your job here, say, and you needed to go on Centrelink, is that right? You would probably be relying on your husband's income for a little bit.
Yes. Yeah. But I mean, we're set up.
You're set up pretty well.
Yes.
That's good.
So we're pretty lucky. And I mean, I didn't know the differences, right? So Germany, you're in this bubble even when you're working because you know nothing can really happen to you. But you come here, and at the start I was like, oh my god! Like we stayed in an Airbnb.
Yeah.
We had like I think 10,000 euros that my dad loaned us when we came here.
Okay.
And then you burn through it in like
a
month. It's like even the Airbnb we stayed at.
So it took you a while to get jobs?
No, actually, we thought he would be really quick, but actually I got a job first.
Nice. In project management?
Yes.
Is it possibly the same thing you're doing now?
Yes, I've just stayed with the company because
Nice.
it's not a bad deal, right? Yeah, it took me maybe 6 or 8 weeks.
Okay.
So, I mean, it wasn't that long, but at the time, like, we were, like, literally, like, 1 week away.
You were scrambling.
To moving in with his dad in Queensland and living in the camper van there.
We're going to be renting a camper van next week. That's
all
interesting.
Right. If you're on holiday.
If we're on holiday, yeah. I could see it not really being a good everyday life.
Yes.
Yeah. Having to cook out the back of the van. Yeah. You got your job, and then he eventually got a job.
Yes.
And so you guys are now set up with full-time jobs.
Yes.
You're what we call dinks, dual income.
Yes.
No kids.
No, not yet.
No, yeah, okay. So you're both, but you're thinking about retirement now. You're thinking about we don't want to do this forever.
No, that's
so
right.
So how does that come to mind? How does the sort of financial independence, retire early concept? How does when does that come into play at the first?
Well, basically, as soon as I started my first job back in Germany, like I did what most people do, I just like how to get out of the rat race or something like that.
So immediately, you're like, I hate this.
It's like I think it was in the first 6 weeks or something like that. And it's just like, oh my god, I cannot be doing this all day, every day. It's beautiful weather outside. It's just like I hate
hear
this.
You. Yeah, we're in a park right now.
It's horrible, right? So and I found like Jim Collins, Mr. Money Mustache, all of that.
Okay.
But then given like the small amounts of money you actually earn in Germany. Mm-hmm. Because your whole life is sort of looked after by the government, but at the same time, there's not. I think it is quite difficult. I know of people who have done it in Germany, but if you don't know how to play the system, it seems impossible, right?
There's no potential for growth, is that it?
First of all, like I didn't know about investing. Nobody I know invests,
Really?
Everybody just has their money in the bank. So that is that whole, like, my parents were all about, spend your money wisely and save, but there was...
Just save, but there's no investing there.
So, I mean, obviously learned about it, but then at the same time I didn't know anyone around me, so it sort of seemed like this foreign concept.
Wow.
And then I was at the time, I think I earned about 1,800 euros a month, right? Which is not bad, but then if you think, I have to save like $1 million, it's like...
Takes a while.
Yeah. And then
So you looked into these blogs and stuff at the time, you were exploring, but you decided maybe... I don't know how I'm going to do this in Germany.
Yeah, it's like, and I also talked to my husband, right? Because he actually had this dream for a long time, or like he read Rich Dad Poor Dad and tried, like he lost like a lot of money before he came to Germany, and like he sort of given up on that. So and I didn't really know much about money, right? So and I thought, this would be a great thing to do, but then we just didn't do anything about it. But then I got so fed up with the work I was doing that I actually thought, like I'm an interpreter and a translator, I should just quit my job and do that.
Yeah.
Which is not like retirement, but at least I have the freedom.
That you would.
Yes, but it didn't go so well because I wanted to start my own business, government funded again, because they give you money for a whole year.
Oh, they'll do that.
Yes, 65% of your income that you had. Yeah, and it's like, this is great. I had like, I think 1,500 euros coming in every month, and basically, but you don't have to do anything in return, right? So it's good. So, and I had a few jobs, but it was just bad, and my husband went abroad for a while working, and I could see like I couldn't deal without the structure. So I actually started, drinking mulled wine in the morning.
Wow, just to
playing online blackjack.
To cope with it. Okay, so you're not having a good time.
No.
You're like, I don't want to be in the rat race. This small business thing is not going well.
It's also not working because
and you're both trying to make enough money to save. Yeah. But it's just it's just paying your bills.
Yeah, it's paying our bills, but then again, you want to treat yourself, on a holiday, stuff like that.
Sure, you want to live your life.
Yeah. But not like in an outrageous lifestyle. It's all quite basic in Germany, right?
Yeah.
So we just did that, and then but then that episode happened where I was just basically doing nothing and like drinking and gambling. I said, I have to get out,
maybe,
right? Yeah, I definitely. So I thought, yeah, let's just get out. Let's go to Australia. And so
that was the catalyst. You're like,
yeah,
I'm going to just go nowhere here.
Yeah, no, that's right.
So opportunity in Australia.
Yeah, and I mean, we didn't really know what to expect. Also, my husband's family is like from Queensland. We didn't really know anyone.
And not around here.
No.
Queensland's pretty far away, right?
Yeah, but I could see that there was not a lot of like work there for me.
Okay.
Like, Sydney is like a melting pot, right? It's just like,
so you can get opportunities here.
So so we just came here. Yeah, looked for jobs, found jobs, and like also surprisingly well-paid jobs.
Okay.
Like I'm sure, like it's quite, our incomes are quite average, especially you look at other Australians. So,
sure.
But compared to what we had in Germany, especially with lower taxes, it's like, wow, this is crazy.
And so you found yourself in a place where you could maybe start saving and investing that money too. Did you learn about investing along the way?
Yeah, well, I had always been like following, the financial independence blogs, all of that, and then in Australia, for example, the Vanguard, right? So we don't even have that. I think maybe now they have it in Germany, but back then, I came here and said, oh, this is actually a lot more similar to America and all of those blogs than Europe.
Okay.
And then I thought,
low-cost ETFs, is that what the Vanguard was?
ETFs,
exchange-traded funds?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's like, and then I realized, oh my God, we're like on so much more money. Even with the higher living expenses, I did the numbers how we can easily live on one paycheck, save the other, and we pretty much started doing that right from the start.
Okay, so you're able to save kind of half of your money?
Yes,
is that?
And a bit more now because we obviously got raises and didn't really.
Yeah.
But no, we're actually able to live. I would call it like a very comfortable lifestyle and like not too much money.
And still save over half of your income.
Yes, and we're on average income. So I can see like other like Australians, like they're a bit more like Americans with the, the German cars. Sure. Always like I know how much German cars cost here. It's just crazy, right? And like
anything imported
big
is
houses,
expensive here.
Yes. But I don't know, we're in a one-bedroom apartment where we're by the beach, for example, right? So it's just like, we're loving it. And work, I have to say, is quite good. Like, I have the freedom, like, obviously it's still like a normal corporate job, but a certain degree of freedom.
But it's a better one.
Yes.
But you're on a countdown to freedom right now?
Yes.
So how close are you?
So we've actually, the normal financial independence concept, which is 25 times your living expenses.
Okay, that's what they say, right?
Yes.
So it's kind of like $1 million for a lot of people, right?
Yes.
If they want to, 40,000. If somebody, typically 40,000 is a pretty comfortable life, right? Yes.
So, but what we thought is, because we obviously, when we came in, we didn't really have a net worth, you know, right? So we thought, like, I don't want to do this because we're in our 30s, right? I don't want to be in my late 40s, right? So we've sort of like lost the decade we should have used for saving, so we have to come up with a plan B.
Yeah.
And because I had that bad experience in Germany, working just for myself, like having no structure, and that ended so badly, I said I have to sort of accept the fact that I would probably have to work a little bit just to keep me busy. And my husband actually loves working, he just doesn't love the corporate stuff. So he's like, so we both said, considering that we will probably continue working, which you can also see in the financial independence community, everybody does, like every single person does.
Is that the whole idea? Like, because that's why it's not retirement. Yeah. It's because you just have the option, you have the choice. Yes.
Yeah, but then I asked myself, I mean, it is, why do you need $1 million?
Yeah, okay.
Right.
Why?
So we and then we had a look at the numbers, and like, so we just said, okay, let's just basically make it half the net worth we want to have later on.
Yeah.
So 25 times.
Okay.
And make that, and then basically we can let that grow in the background while we work part time.
While you're doing other things.
Because our lifestyle is quite cheap, so we could literally like both work like half the time or even less.
Yeah.
Right?
So you can cut your income in half and still be
especially if you move away from Sydney.
And then your money grows. Yeah. Yes. And would you move away from Sydney?
Yes.
Is that the idea?
No, definitely. Because, I mean, it's just so expensive, right? So we would move to, maybe back to Europe, maybe to like a regional area in Australia, somewhere by the beach.
You have freedom. That's the whole thing, right?
And we could do that with a couple of part-time jobs, right? Yeah, and then we would just let the money grow. So yeah, that's sort of the goal at the moment. This is the whole reason I started the website, because we wanted to like sort of document our last 1,000 days.
Yeah.
So I think now it's like 920 days or something like that.
Okay.
So it actually goes really fast,
you're
right?
Like a couple of years out.
2.5
almost
years.
3 years. Yeah, so 2.5.
Yes.
And let's summarize kind of how someone gets to this point, right? Because so the things, I'm just listening to your story and realizing there are certain situations where you might never achieve financial independence.
Yes.
So that's, first of all, living in an area or country or working a job that is not paying enough.
Yes.
So you were able to solve that problem by continually just working on your skills.
Yes.
Maybe getting into the consulting business.
Yeah. Much
and
more
much more money.
Yeah.
Because the whole idea is, why doesn't everyone able to do this? Because a lot of people are trying, right? And they're not financially independent in their 30s. Absolutely, not even in their 60s, right? So what are they doing wrong? What are they doing wrong? Especially if they want it. If they don't want it, they're fine, and they just find to keep working for their whole life. Great. But if they want it, so that's step one, is get yourself a high-paying job.
I guess so. Or like, I guess looking back, we could have easily done this in Germany, if I'm completely honest.
Okay,
but
yeah.
Like,
So what would you have done differently?
I think we could have probably saved his income and lived on mine, but it was just, we were sort of in this situation where we thought it was just not achievable. So what helped us is actually, we sold everything, we moved to Australia, so we had to basically start from scratch, so that really helped us. I think it is a lot more difficult to have a proper look at your own situation and then change things, so we just changed everything.
So starting over is a good
I guess
way.
I understand not everybody can just do that, right?
Well, why not, right? I mean, I think a lot of people feel trapped by their situation. Like, I have a job, and maybe if they have a family and they're established, but you can still take your family places.
Yes.
I think is just being open to change, being open
Absolutely.
to opportunity, and
Yes.
also the whole frugality thing. I'm assuming you're a little more frugal than most to be able to do this.
But I mean, that is also like, so in Europe, and I didn't even realize this, everybody is so frugal, like especially in Germany. It's just
automatically.
Yeah, it's like nobody buys new cars, nobody does,
Yeah.
because like I said, there is no debt, right? So I think if
That's
you
very interesting.
take like the German way of thinking and move it to like a capitalist country like Australia or America,
see.
you don't even have to do anything. You know, you
Yeah.
just don't have to adapt your lifestyle to what everybody else is doing.
Like, would you
So-
consider Germany as more of a socialist?
Yes.
Yeah.
It is basically, I really think that Germans are basically mustachians without even knowing it. Right? It is,
That's Mr. Money Mustache reference. For those who don't know, you can look it up. But but in a way that's good, because like I mean I'm on the fence, right? I like the ability to make as much money as possible, and that possibility, right? And that's what America is,
Yes.
right? But I also like the ability for people who like to help society and to build a society, which is what it was going on in Germany.
Yes.
Free school, healthcare, right?
Yes.
All free everything, right? I mean, you're
I guess,
basically helping you with a small business.
well, I guess it's not free because your taxes are just crazy.
Yeah, okay, so you're paying high taxes, so that might be another reason why you're not making a wage, right?
Yes. So your after tax is just not a lot, and I mean, and
Interesting.
basically you get pushed towards this, you know, like retirement age at 67. That's what everybody does, and the government is basically like, you don't have the freedom to do it because you have to pay these taxes, right? It's sort of. And of course they help you if you want to start a business, so start a business. We help you if you're unemployed because we don't want you to be unemployed, right? There's no plan B.
Yeah, it's quite an interesting thing to look at it, because like it seems really good and positive what's happening in Germany, and it is generally, but everyone has to fit the mold.
That's exactly right.
And if you don't want to fit that mold, then you're a little bit in trouble. It's like an ideal society, except if you're different. Right?
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. And that's why, I don't know, I had this feeling like when I started my first job, oh my God, I have to get out. But you don't know anything.
You didn't fit in, really?
Yeah. And then, of course, you
Interesting.
know, I had my husband who's like this, you know, like dorky Australian.
Now he's
and
Aussie
like,
coming into
and,
this,
And he was completely shocked by the German way of life at the start. You know, this is how you do certain things, this is how it's done, this is how we stack the dishwasher, there's just a lot of rules. Which
Is it really that precise?
And
wow.
And he started to really like appreciate it. I mean, it's a great place, right? You can have an absolutely worry-free life.
Absolutely,
excellent lifestyle, especially with family. But if you want to, say, retire early, you're in trouble. And I know like a lot of blogs now of people who have done it in Germany, but they're all like foreigners moving to Germany, looking at the system, you know, like with a fresh set of eyes.
Yes.
Or people who have been abroad. I could easily do it now if I went back, but if you've just...
You didn't have the perspective at the time.
So, No, so that's basically it.
So move to a country where it's like built into you, or come from a country that's built into you. Then move to a place where you have the freedom to grow, or the ability to reduce your costs, which apparently you could do here, even though things are expensive. So probably also just look at your expenses.
No, that's exactly right.
And see if there's anything that you can you can trim off, and then think about why it is you want your financial independence, right?
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. Because I can see if you don't sort of have your eyes on the prize the whole time, I mean, you can easily spend like 2 incomes here, right?
Yeah,
it's like
for sure.
You sort of have to have it in the back of your head the whole time. But you obviously still have to have a good time, right? So I
bought an ice cream sandwich for $10.
It's like, well, you can have that. You can't just have it all. You just can't have it all the time, right?
Every day I want that.
Yeah, but that's actually a good summary. Yeah, come from a frugal place or learn about frugality. Move to a place where you have a bit more freedom. Yeah, and then just keep those values in mind. And
so yeah, if you're stuck, because the probably common thing for someone to feel stuck in their situation, maybe it's a socioeconomic. Like they live in an area and they can't get a job, or maybe they're not educated. They're stuck in one way or another. When you're stuck, you got to change your life.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right.
You got to change things around.
You just get depressed.
Yeah, right, and you start drinking wine, right?
That's right.
And playing blackjack. It's very easy to feel like we don't have any choice, right?
Yes.
And you kind of have to make your own way. And so you guys were able to do that. But it involved moving around a bunch. You tried a bunch of different things, right?
Yes.
Working here, working there. You tried your business.
Yeah.
And is that what you would do in 3 years or 2.5 years? Maybe do some translation on the side?
Possibly, but then I know that I need structure, even if I don't like the idea or so, right? So
part-time work?
Yeah, maybe part-time work, or like even if it's just a couple of days in the morning or something like that, But I think I have to actually go somewhere. And I know a lot of people have suggested co-working spaces, but I think I
still have to pay for those things too.
So I guess that's sort of the plan. My husband won't have any problems because he just loves working. He just wants.
So he would just work less.
He wants to do stuff like work in a country club and drive, the tractor around.
He has the option. That's the best part about this financial independence thing. And I like that you structured it for intentionally that you're going to keep working. We can do half of what everyone says, and we'll be fine.
Yes.
And even then your money will just grow, and it'll way earlier than 67 or 65 or 71, whatever country age is retirement.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. So basically in 2.5 years we'll be done with like half of our retirement nest egg. And then if it's invested and you say like every 10 years roughly, it should double, then we're basically there after 10 years. So if we want to retire early, we'll still be, so I'll be
You'll still be in your 40s, yeah.
Right? So after 10 years of semi-retirement.
And you don't have to leave your job. You just have the option.
Yes.
And when you guys hit this, well, you're pretty confident. But it's not like you're forced out, and if you don't have other opportunities lined up, you can take your time.
Yeah.
You can do whatever you want, and that's the main thing about this is. We want to build freedom, and change builds freedom. People, if you're stuck, just think about why it is you want to stay, or do you really need to stay where you are? People need to be open to more mobility, I think, and
that's exactly right.
Yeah, it's good. It's inspiring, and don't just go for something because you think that's what you're supposed to do, right? Like in your situation, don't just put your money away in a bank because that's what everybody did, and don't because nobody knows about investing. Learn about what your options are, and just keep your options open, and just keep an open mind. I think it's a good lesson.
Yeah, and I guess the most important thing is to actually realize that you're probably stuck in a little box, and that you have to get out and that's the hardest thing to do, because you don't realize in that
you
moment
might not even know.
Yeah. So I think that is just the hardest thing, and I don't know how you can actually teach people to do that, because you don't know what you don't know, right?
You don't know what you don't know. I think, well, you had this spark in you that wanted to get it. You're like, I don't belong in this socialist environment. I need
that sounds like I'm an
options.
outcast.
I know, right? Well, outcast is not necessarily a bad thing. I think we're all being different is a good thing to me these days, and I think it's just nice to have the opportunity to do what you want, and the freedom to travel. You just have to be you're right. Get out of the box.
Yes.
Somehow realize you're in the box. And if you don't realize you're in the box, maybe you don't need to, and you're comfortable in the box. Yeah. And then you're probably not listening to this podcast.
But then don't whinge that you're uncomfortable, right? So no, just get out of your box and have a look at your life. And to be honest, once you get that spark, and once you actually realize what's going on in your life, it opens so many doors already. I can already see, I'm enjoying my work more. I'm a lot more relaxed, right? It's basically because I know in 2.5 years, I can just walk out if I want to. And it actually, weirdly enough, it's like I enjoy work more. I like my colleagues more. I'm sometimes thinking, only 2.5 more years.
That's right.
So it's like, it just changes everything. Just find sort of the thing you want, to work towards it, and everything else in your life just becomes better automatically. Like our health have improved. We're just more active, more social. Everything gets better once you actually know what you want to achieve.
Awesome message. Thanks for meeting me in Sydney. Thanks for coming on the show.
All right. No, thanks so much for having me.
If you like this episode, please subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts. If you're already a subscriber, thank you. And please let me know what you think of the show. You can email me at bo@bohumphreys.com or tag me on Twitter @bohumphreys. It'd be nice to know who's out there and who's listening to the show. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Personal Finance Show. Next week, my guest will be David Jenkins, founder of an investing intelligence website called theansweris.ca.